Welcome back. You're still watching SA Today. Now, cybercrime is increasing at an alarming rate and will eventually replace many traditional bank crimes as it transcends time and physical proximity to its because of its virtual nature. In addition, the convenience of the internet makes it easy for criminals to perpetrate these crimes. Now, to help consumers be safer online over the festive season, SABC business news anchor Collen Lemawane spoke to Derek Cikes, who's a commercial director at fintech Payflex.
I'd like you to start first by painting a landscape of how the IT world is playing out in as far as payments are concerned, especially for online shopping.
Sure. Well, the world is changing quite fast and furiously. I mean, there's a couple of key trends that are happening. The first is that millennials are trying to stay as far away from the traditional banking forums as possible. They're trying to stay away from interest. You've got big business changing the way they are interacting with the consumers and bringing different products to the market. So think of the MTNs, the Vodacoms of the world. They're introducing mobile money wallets that are coming into the space. And then you've got new banking entrants that are coming in with very different banking products. So guys like Time Bank, you can now open up a bank account in a Pick and Pay store within 5 minutes with the minimum of requirements. So there's a massive number of different options that are coming to the market, and no longer are the big four banks the only ones providing product into that space.
So is it going to now open up the window for cybercrime?
Sure. That's a question that always comes up when we talk about the internet, and we've spoken about it a couple of times. I think one of the things that does happen is when you've got a medium like the internet, which allows lots of people to do lots of things, it is very attractive to criminals or guys who've got subversive ideas. But it's, and I've used the example a number of times, even if we're sitting at a restaurant right now, we wouldn't leave our wallets on the table and go to the bathroom. And it's no different in the internet world. If you apply a couple of basic rules around being, using common sense, not leaving your password lying around, not using the same password, not updating your security patches, you will be vulnerable. But if you kind of keep those basics in line, you won't be as vulnerable. But yes, there is the risk that exists in that space.
Sometimes banks come up with firewalls and barriers to protect data, but you will find that they have been hacked. Recently, we even heard the city of Joburg being hacked. So how safe-proof are these systems?
So, banks, insurance companies, online retailers, they have spent fortunes, and they will continue to spend fortunes on a monthly basis to make sure that their environments are protected. They have entire tech teams that are focused purely on making sure that those things don't happen. But as we all know, every day there's a smarter, faster, younger person who's coming into the environment, who's thinking of different ways of doing it. So it's a constant game. But the threat is there. Let's not be silly about it. But as I said earlier, if you keep those couple of basic rules in play, change your password regularly, make sure it's not your date of birth or your wife's date of birth, make sure your security patches are up to date, use a well-known site. Those kind of things can mitigate some of those risks that come through in that area.
So how important is it for one to update their software? Even apps sometimes become outdated.
So that is the primary way these hackers get into your accounts, get into your laptop, get into your PC, get into your phone. That's how they do it. They find a weakness and they abuse that weakness to try and get in. Now, if you're not doing the regular updates to your platforms, so whether it's an app, whether it's your phone, whether it's your laptop, you're going to be exposing yourself to those openings or those kind of hacks that the guys can do. So keep doing it up, keep it up to date.
And then let's talk about trust issues concerning online shopping. Some people have a problem, that's why they're still going to malls, saying that they don't want to supply their credit card information because it can be duplicated. And I'll give you an example. Somebody once purchased an airline ticket once, but then there were regular airline purchases of British Airways, whereas that person had never even boarded British Airways before, but the credit card was accessible with debits of 1,500 rand every day.
Yeah. So, Collen, I'm going to kind of throw a counter at you. I traveled probably about 18 months ago to Namibia. I went through Tambo. There's a certain coffee shop there. I stopped. We were there at 5 o'clock in the morning, myself and a colleague. We thought we'd have a quick drink before we got on the flight. Handed my credit card to the waiter. The waiter was standing in front of me. He took out the handheld device, put my credit card into it. I keyed in my PIN, and out came the slip. Everything was done. As I landed in Namibia, I had 5 transactions go off my account, and those transactions were for amounts of 2,000, 3,000, 1,500, etc., and they continued to go off. What had happened was at that coffee shop, the handheld device was a scanning device. It was a cloning device. It cloned my credit card. It took my PIN. So even in the real world, you're at danger of that. So vigilance, again, what we've been speaking about is of primary importance here. But online, I don't think you're any more at risk than you were in the real world. So yes, it can happen. Yes, it does happen. But that's kind of where the Payflex as a company comes in. We kind of are working with merchants. So we know the merchants that we're dealing with. So when you use a payments provider like a Payflex, you know that you're dealing with real merchants in the background, and that takes away some of that risk as well. We're not a cybercrime prevention business, but dealing with someone like us gives you a little bit more confidence of what's going on in your space.
And let's talk about the most riskiest scenario when it comes to card transactions. The tab mode. Do you feel comfortable to tab? And if you're doing it now, should you continue, or does it mean that if anybody can have your card, you're gone?
So, Collen, I'm not an expert in that field, and I think I share your worry about it, because every time I do tap on one of those machines, I think, this is very easy. Surely someone could just walk up behind me one day and just tap my, my back pocket where my wallet kept. I think there are a couple of things that the banks have done in that particular space to protect you, the consumer. The first is you can set limits to the amount at which the transaction can take place on the tap before requiring a PIN. And then there's the SMS notification that comes through to you. So you're able to pick up if something has happened, and then most banks will have an insurance policy that allows you to claim against any fraudulent activity that's taken place on your card.
And you certainly can't hear those warnings enough. Be careful online. It really is quite dangerous out there.